Welcome back to Any Given Monday. I am here with an inspirational guest, Jordan Weber, winner of season 2 on the Next Golf Tour, powered by TrackMan, the highest simulator golf career earnings of any player in the entire world. Earned starts on the DP World Tour, Hotel Planner Tour directly through just sheer simulator domination. Dad, husband, teacher, and returning podcast guest, Jordan Weber. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Mark. Yeah, it's been a crazy ride doing all this simulator golf and succeeding in it and getting all these opportunities that I never expected. It's been a wild ride, but I'm loving it, and I get to talk to cool people like you. So it's been a great experience.
Well, that's very generous of you. If I didn't include that in your intro, he's also a generous guy. You're at a soccer tournament with your boys this weekend. I see that you're in a
Yep.
hotel right now. Are you coaching, cheering, arguing with other parents?
There is some hostility once in a while out here, but I try not to be one of those people. I'm not coaching this team. I am coaching, helping coach next spring. I do a ton of coaching. I love coaching. I've coached my boys in soccer since they were young. I kind of gave it up for my older one because I never played soccer. So it's been like this learning experience and trying to I'm a competitive person, as you might imagine. And so it's like when I watch them play, I want to learn everything I can to help them get as good as they can. And so I do coach them a lot. I coach basketball and coach them in golf. So coaching is definitely a passion of mine.
Obviously, the golf coaching is easier. I was listening to Michelle Wee on a pod recently, and she said that she's hoping that her children don't play hockey because she just doesn't know how to parent that. But you figured
Yep.
that out. So the boys are into golf a little bit.
They are, yeah. My oldest and youngest both are doing well. I started teaching them swing technique since they're 1 and 2 years old when they could barely walk. We were going through position 1 through position 10 in the golf swing, and they have pretty good golf swings. And my oldest, he won every tournament he played in this summer, which was cool. My youngest advanced through the drive, chip, and putt to the second round, even though he was by far the youngest in his age group. So, there's a picture taken of him and all the kids he beat in the first round. And, he's this little guy, and they're like way taller than him. So it was a proud moment for me just seeing him be able to compete with the big kids. So it's super fun watching him compete. I love it. I love coaching them and just getting to experience that.
I know they've been able to see you excel in the sim and kind of live out your dream of playing on a major world tour. We've got a new season of the Next Golf Tour upcoming, and I'm excited to talk to you about that. Uh, but first, just take us back to the end of your college career. Give us kind of a brief history of how you ended up becoming indoor golf's poster child.
Yeah, so I graduated from University of Northern Iowa. You know, I I played every meet my whole career from freshman through senior year, which I'm proud of, and I continued to get better throughout my entire year in college, or all my years in college. My senior year, I had my best year ever. I never finished outside the top 15 except for the regional tournament. I was the only player in UNI history to qualify for the regional tournament, which I'm really proud of. I had a great coach there who loves golf as much as I do, and we would just sit there and talk about it and figure out ways to get better. And he was just the perfect coach for me because we would get super deep into conversations about swing technique and putting and chipping and how to practice and all those things that I loved. And so I think that's why I really uh, have grown this love for practicing and getting better. It's like an obsession of mine. So I think that's why I've always improved so much. And then after college, I played professionally for 3.5 years. I got off to a good start. I was playing some mini tour events and doing well on those. And then, my hands just stopped working. I got the yips with the putting, and it just went spiral downhill very quickly from there. And I didn't switch to the long putter because I had the stigma against it. And, looking back, that was stupid. I should have just went to the long putter. Maybe I could have survived. But I always think there's a plan for me and the way things should work out. And, it's working out in ways that I never could have imagined. So, you know, having that time away from the game, I was out of the game for 10 plus years, and really realizing that this is a strong passion for me that never leaves me. And so I know I'm supposed to do something with it. And then, the indoor golf is so perfect for me. You don't have to travel. I get to be with my family, yet I get to compete at a high level. And I also love that, I can prepare for the test, exactly how it's going to be. When you're playing uh courses in real life, like I if it's in a different state or country, I can't go play that course and prepare. And I kind of need that. I have self-doubt a lot, and when I'm able to better prepare and prepare exactly for what's coming, that gives me confidence, and I'm able to play a little better. So I think that's really helped me with indoor golf.
Yeah, there's like jazz musicians who are just incredible at improvisation, and then there's classical musicians who you put a sheet of music in front of them, and it could be as difficult uh, as you can imagine, and they can play it with brilliance. So it takes both kinds, and that's a really interesting. Uh, it's a really interesting kind of question. Is where do you excel, and you found your let's say niche for now, but take me back to how you started in indoor golf. I know that you started on other simulators and in other softwares, and you did really well there. How did you come to find out about the next golf tour and start playing on that tour?
Yeah, so it started with me and my brother-in-law were looking at starting an indoor golf business. And so with that, we want to test out launch monitors to see which ones were good. I wanted something that was extremely accurate. So we started out with a Unicore launch monitor, and paired it with GS Pro. Through GS Pro, the software, they have this simulator golf tour, which ironically was built by a guy who lives in Ankeny, which is like 20 minutes away from me. These worldwide players play in this, and it's built by a guy that lives 20 minutes away from me. So I've actually gotten to meet him and play around a golf with him, and he's super cool and great.
Wow.
And
I was just
yeah,
an indoor golf hotbed.
it is. So the other
Who
cool
knew?
thing is that like a bunch of course developers for that software also live in Iowa. So like a ton of Iowa courses are built on that software, which is kind of fun because you get to play your home courses and stuff. So I've always enjoyed that. So I started playing the simulator golf tour, and I started out, I was, finishing 20th or 30th every tournament, but I was like really determined. I was like, I'd like to see if I could win one of these. And then I kind of started figuring it out, and I started winning a bunch of them. And they have a world ranking system, and so I got to number one in the world in there, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, but then I heard about this next tour. Just somebody mentioned that, hey, you can win a bunch of money, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Probably not true. You hear about these things all the time. And so I started looking into it a little more. I'm like, oh, it kind of seems legitimate. And so it's like I went to my wife. It's like, like I'm doing pretty well in this simulator league. It's $130 to get in this tournament. I know I shouldn't probably spend the money to do that, but do you care if I just try it? And she's like, yeah, go for it. I was like, oh, cool. So I did it, and I made my money back in the first one. I finished like 30th or something. And then the next one I did a little better, and then the third one I won, $30,000 just like that. And it's like, whoa, like, and then you start looking at the standings, it's like, oh, like maybe I could win this whole thing. Like it never even occurred to me when I started. Like I just didn't want to lose my $130 every week. And
Yeah.
then, to
Welcome to
go
my
from
world.
that, yeah, yeah, right. Mr. Hole in One.
Yeah. You remember.
I do.
Yeah, that's you took some time to improve. It didn't just happen immediately when once you switch softwares, but then in that first season, maybe the second half of the season, and look, these seasons are only 7 events long or something like that,
Yeah.
but you win that event, you win 30 grand, and then everything changes for you, probably confidence wise, expectation wise, and now you're at the top of the leaderboard, you're top of the order of merit. You've got the possibility of winning these starts on DP World Tour. I think there were 4 Hotel Planner Tour starts at the time. I think they were Challenge Tour, and 1 DP World Tour start. And you come to that last event. I don't know exactly what you needed to finish, but certainly winning would lock it up for you. Now, I think the idea, if you talk to somebody who hasn't played indoor golf, that you might be really nervous, or the nerves and the anxiety and the feelings that you experience inside the simulator are very comparable to what you feel on the golf course. Nerves are nerves, right? So I know you were feeling it. Can you take me back to that final tournament, that final event at PGA West, where everything's on the line, your back nine, it's all come down to your back nine, and you absolutely excel, feeling all of those emotions. What was that like?
Yeah. You're totally right. I knowing so for me, I think I felt so much pressure, mainly because I had never gotten the opportunity to play on the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour or even the Corn Ferry Tour or any level like that. Or I never had gone to a USGA, US Amateur, US Mid Amateur, and it's with golf being this huge thing to me, like this super passion of mine, and never getting to do that, and being out of the game for 10 years, it was like I thought it was never ever going to happen. I had no chance. Like my only chance was like, hey, maybe my kids will be really good and I'll get to experience it that way. But then this comes along and I'm in position. I was in like third place, I think, going into the last round. And I was like, and I had it all figured out, like all the scenarios. Like I had to finish sixth, and there's one other guy that could have beat me that was playing at a similar time, and he had to finish like third or worse. Or if I finished like third or second, I for sure was going to be the winner as long as he didn't win. I had all the scenarios figured out. And it's like, it was hard for me to sleep that week, like practicing all the time. Like, I would wake up, I literally got up at 4 in the morning every single morning, and I had to drive down to our warehouse, and I would just be practicing from, I'd get there at like 5, and I'd practice from like 5 till 8 hours a day. I was practicing because I wanted it so bad. I just wanted that opportunity to do it once, to go to a DP World Tour event, you know, and so I had been playing the course well. I was shooting scores in practice that were lower than what the leading score was. So it's like I knew I could do it. And then I started out, I was fine in practice, a little nervous, but and I was kind of tired. Um, but then when you hit go, like starting your round, it's like the heart rate just jumps like, I mean, 20 beats per minute. Right when you hit that button, it's like, oh, this is real. All right, I gotta go. And I made birdie on that first hole, but then a terrible bogey on the second hole, three putt, like from 20 feet. It's like, oh no, like you can't do that. Like you can't waste any strokes. And so I was really disappointed. And then I started hitting it well. I made one more birdie, but then it was like par, par, par. I couldn't make the putts. Like they're just barely going by. And by the eighth hole, it was like I didn't do it. Like I had that feeling like I'm not gonna do it. Like my whole family was excited. I just felt like everybody's excited for this. I was excited, and I can't do it. It's just like really disappointing. And I think that little bit of let go right there is what I needed to get me going again, where it's like I was just trying to control the situation too much, trying to force it, and just having that little bit. I made a putt on 9, and I made a little adjustment in how I was aiming because it's auto aim, and I was like, I was missing them all on the high side. So I'm like, I'm just gonna aim just a little bit closer to the hole, and they all started going in, and then made a ton of birdies, and you know, it still makes me emotional thinking about it because I wanted it so bad, and it
Yeah.
happened, and I got to experience my lifelong dream.
Yeah. No, it's spectacular. It's so clutch. And it's such great insight into what you need to do for anyone listening, any golfer at all, when you're really amped up and need to play your best golf. Just taking a beat, and letting go of the need to control the outcome is the absolute best thing you can do for your outcome. Uh, and it's amazing what you did there. You shot 29 on the back nine, I believe, and then you achieved your lifelong dream of being able to qualify for a major world tour. You get to go play, I believe, in Germany on the DP World Tour, and then across Europe for Challenge Tour. What was that transition like? You alluded to how hard you work at it, and just looking at you, you're super fit. You've got incredible ball speed. And this is just another aside here, parenthetical, is that to demonstrate just what happens when you get in the simulator, when you start to feel it. This happens to me. I'll practice and my ball speed will go, 178, and I can't get it above that when I'm practicing. And then all of a sudden I can jump up to 183 just by hitting the start tournament now button. It is amazing. But so now you go over there. What's that experience like, Jordan? You go from having some maybe command and experience inside the simulator to now kind of experiencing a new world where everyone around you has more experience. How did you approach that?
Yeah, yeah, you're totally right though on the adrenaline. The same exact thing happens to me. I gain at least 3 mile an hour ball speed just by clicking that start button. And that's
Yeah.
what adrenaline does to you. I mean, it's crazy how much stronger and faster you get, and it feels like it's nothing, you know? So it does show, you know, that there are real nerves, like you can't do that unless there's real nerves there. But yeah, switching gears then and going over and playing, outdoor golf competitively, you know, the challenge for me when I do that is I don't play a lot of rounds of golf. I don't even have a membership outside, so it's like playing rounds of golf is my only rounds of golf are at a par 3 course with my kids, like that's what I play. Um, so before going over there, I did, go to a course and, got hooked up with playing privileges for the year. And, I tried to play as much as I could and practice as hard as I could. Um, it is just a different animal, like I got over there. I had a little bit of bad luck, I will say. My my I got there on Saturday before the DP World Tour event, and my clubs didn't come till Wednesday morning.
Mm,
So I was over there just like putting and chipping with rental clubs before the tournament, before the biggest tournament of my life, and I can't even like play with my own clubs.
yeah.
So that was a little frustrating, but the whole experience of it, I thought, I was going to be just, somebody they didn't care about, like I'm going to be in the very last group of the afternoon wave and then the very first one and the morning wave the next day, but they were interviewing me. I got to play with Soren Keltson, who was making his 700th start, and they were making a big deal of that. I got put right in the middle of the morning wave, like the best tee time, like, and I was gonna be in the TV coverage, which I was like, whoa, like this is my dream, like I want to go play these events and like have somebody actually care how I do, like, and that happened. Unfortunately, some weather came in and we got pushed out of the TV window when I was going to be in it. So I didn't get to be on a whole lot, but
Mm,
it was just cool that they did that. Felt like a little bit they rolled out the red carpet, and I got to experience that whole thing. And so just super thankful to the European Tour group for the partnership they've done with TrackMan and the next tour, and I think some players have really done well, especially on the Hotel Planner Tour. You got Nick Carlson out there who almost got his DP World Tour card this year, and like a bunch of their top players are playing the next tour. So there's real players that play in the next tour and can really play outdoor golf. So it's really testament to the whole tour, the whole concept. It's great, and it's a great way to stay competitive during the winter.
And to that point, I think you opened the eyes of a lot of players too, that you can have success in the simulator and have it really mean something outside the simulator. And that was illustrated by the following season, last season, season 3. I remember talking to you and you were playing well, but like not quite to the level that you had finished the previous season on. But the big difference was there were so many players, so many more players who were out there shooting 9, 10, 11 under right from the jump of season 3. And it was eye opening. And so I think it's a testament to how it caught on, how, you caught the attention of a lot of other players and maybe inspired them as well. But did you feel that way? That I know you made a late season charge, but still didn't quite, weren't able to win at the end there. But did you feel that the tour had changed a bit, just skill level wise and competition wise, depth wise?
For sure. The good thing about simulator golf is like there's consistency, right? Like it's not like even if outside, if you play the same course year after year, like wind's different, temperature's different, green firmness is different. It's like it's the same in the simulator all the time. So it's like you can compare year over year scores and just say, hey, 7 under one last year and now 11 under one this year. Like that happened at a couple courses, and like
Mm-hmm.
every single round was 10, 11, 12 under one, where a 6 under one of the tournaments in season 2, and like 8, 9 unders were winning, and now it's like 10, 11, and I believe it's probably going to you're going to have to shoot in the 50s to start winning.
Wow. I better get out there and start practicing. I do
Me
not
too,
have the
buddy.
50s
I'm
in me
not going to
right
be able to
now.
compete either.
All right. Well, that brings us to this moment and upcoming season 4 on the next tour. The format's a little different. Can you talk about that and tell us what you're looking forward to?
I think the changes are great. Where there's a lot of money on the line, and when you're playing just 18 holes, I don't think you always identify the best player. So, having 36 holes, helps identify the best player. It also adds a little bit of pressure. Like when you're playing 18 holes and you're not expecting to win, like you don't really feel the pressure until the last 2 or 3 holes. Like, oh wow, I really have a chance to win. But if you're playing 36 holes and you have a good first round, you have that whole second 18 where you're feeling the pressure, which
Yeah.
I think it's important that the person who wins the tournament has to deal with that pressure a little bit because it is different. It does change things. I think we saw that at the end of season 3 last year. The top guys really struggled in that last round. Now, that could be a variety of reasons, but I believe one of it is, they really had some real pressure from the start.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good change. I think they switched to manual putting this year, which I kind of missed until like 3 days ago. So I'm like hard in the simulator trying to learn how to read the greens. But I think that's a good change too. Just I think it's just going to continue to get harder. They can still raise the green speeds a little bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll make it tougher. They could make the gimme circle at 4 feet, which I think eventually will probably happen, which will make it quite a bit tougher.
Well, yeah.
So they still have some room to make it tougher, and I think they will as seasons go on. But I think all of those continuing to go in that direction are good changes.
And do you feel like adding another round gives you an advantage? I always think when I'm playing against somebody, I mean, anybody who's a skilled player, let's say that you've had more success than them, or you feel like you have an edge, but that small sample size of one round, anything can happen in golf. Anybody can beat anyone on a given day. But I would think that your feeling would be the more holes you get to play, given your history and your experience, gives you an edge. Is that fair?
They sent out surveys after each next tour round, and I asked for 54 holes. So I did want more holes. I after last year, it's like, gosh, I didn't do very well. I finished like 15th. And I was like, but I kind of beat some of the guys. And so I like went back and added up like the winner's total score for the year. And I was only one stroke below him for the entire year, even though I
Interesting.
finished 15th. So it's like, if they're just 36 holes, maybe I would have finished higher each round. So I I think that for me, I am kind of used to the pressure in the simulator now. Like I felt it from round one last year, every single round. Because I got a lot of friends and family that are really interested in now, and they're always like talking about it. And so it's like I feel pressure to perform every single round. And so I want my competitors to feel that pressure a little bit too. And so I think the extra rounds kind of help that.
When I see every round on the Next Golf Tour is live streamed on the Next Tour's website, but you also, I think, add a new dimension to that too, because you started your own simulator center, which I'd love to hear more about, as Iowa's, we now know, is a hotbed of indoor golf activity. But your family comes and watches you now. I think you live stream some of your rounds on your website. And I know that I can always hear that you have a little entourage around you. Just talk about that. And does that add pressure? Do you have your kids there watching you? I assume you want to excel for them, but there's also the feeling of, I don't want to let them down either, right?
Yeah, yeah. So my family didn't want to wait the 30 seconds it takes for my swing to get on the next tour website, so they wanted me to stream it on YouTube. Um, and that kind of comes also from the original uh, simulator tour I played. A lot of us stream our rounds because there isn't a next recorder app, and so that was kind of the verification way of doing it. And it's kind of you can kind of show different views on the recording software, so it kind of gives people a little more insight, which they like. So that's kind of how I thought to do that. But then, yeah, the family likes and they like to see what I'm doing outside the shots and hear people talking and stuff. So that's kind of how that started. But you're right. Yeah, like usually some people like to come and watch. My wife has gotten into it. She likes to come watch. The kids come and watch, and so it does add an element of I want to succeed for them. I also got to watch my mouth a little bit when I get frustrated. But no, it definitely adds a little bit of pressure. So, but it's fun. I like that people enjoy it. The best feeling for me is my golf brings some people, excitement and joy, which is the most rewarding thing.
And so your indoor center, you started that. Did you start that before season two?
Nope, for season three.
Okay.
Yep. So
Yeah.
last year we opened in September or
Okay.
October, early October. It's called Net Par. We have 6 indoor TrackMan simulator bays and a full bar. We do lots of leagues. TrackMan's just so perfect for all those things. There's so many options for so many different people. My kids love playing on TrackMan because they have great games that they can play that are interesting, that aren't competitive if they don't want to be competitive. But also like the way you can practice for people who want to get better. We get a lot of competitive players that come in there and they want to work on their wedge distances, which there's great stuff for that. They want to work on their swings. TrackMan has these great tools for analyzing your swing, comparing to PGA Tour pros, the exact swings that they make and all their numbers that go with it. You can pretty easily self-identify things that you're doing wrong just in a TrackMan simulator. So, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it to Iowa. There wasn't many TrackMan options in the Des Moines area, and I know there's a lot of competitive golfers that want to get better, and also get people that just want to come in and have fun. So that's what we're trying to do with it, and it's been great success so far.
That's such a good point too, about your kids and children in general enjoying the games. more than actually going out and playing golf. I had my 5-year-old in the simulator yesterday, and we played scrapyard. And it's just you go to a landfill basically of cars. You just blow up cars with dynamite, and each shot, each ball represents a stick of dynamite. And he loves it, but he has so much more fun in there than he does when I take him out to the golf course and we're on a cart. So that's really getting him into the game, and I assume that's happening across the world.
I think
But
so too.
yeah, now is it like the Super Bowl when you tee it up for will it be like a Super Bowl event for everyone at the simulator center, everybody at in your town when it's your time to play?
No, I wouldn't say it's that big, but uh, last year, the first event, my parents came and my mother and father-in-law came, my brother and sister-in-law came, and all the nephews, and so it was kind of that way, especially for the first event. There's all the excitement for me winning last year, and and then I didn't play well, so then they kind of in that first event last year, so they kind of felt bad and felt like, we'll just watch it on YouTube. So, um, we'll I'll have a few people, but it won't be a ton. A lot of people watch just on YouTube. They like doing that.
Jordan, you've made over 100,000, like I think it was 103,000 some odd dollars that you've made on the next golf tour. How much of that has really affected your life and improved your life and helped you start your indoor center?
Yeah, I mean that the money I won, I used to go over to Europe to play in the DP World Tour and then start that indoor center. So I wouldn't have been able to do that without the money I made on the next tour. So, it has changed my life. It's given me opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And so it is life changing when you do well in these events, especially, for these mini tour pros who it's challenging to earn a living out there. Even if you're doing pretty well, only like the top 10 guys typically are actually making a profit on the mini tours. So for them to be able to jump in a simulator and not pay travel expenses and all that stuff, and you can make 30 grand if you win, like that's life-changing money right there. So it's a super great concept. I think it's only going to grow. And I think it's only going to help uh, mini tour guys who are looking to make it big, get a chance at that.
I'm mindful of your time here, Jordan. I know you've got to go cheer on your kids at the soccer field. If you were to give some advice to someone who's wanting to play maybe a pro or a high level am, they're good players on green grass, and they play in the simulator for the first time, or really consider competition for the first time, and they shoot a couple over, and they're just like, man, this is going to be a little harder than I thought it was going to be able to be competitive. How would you distill it down for practice for someone to become competitive?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I think one thing people don't always catch initially is the lies. So, one thing you have to pay attention to is if the ball's above or below your feet, that will make it curve, and trying to learn how much it makes it curve. So, you can do a couple different things. So, on TrackMan, you can do the on course practice. Just go out to a course and put it on a different lie. And if you can have an extended screen, um, use that extended screen because that extended screen will tell you on a flat lie, did you miss it left or right? And then look on the course and how much did you miss it left or right? So then you can start to gauge how many degrees makes your ball move this much. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is making sure you know how far your ball is going to go out of the rough. So, it changes the distance the ball speed, and it changes the spin. And so for different clubs, that changes how far the ball is going to go, just like outside. But I would say it's more consistent in a simulator. So you can kind of figure out how far your ball goes if you just practice it a couple times, just throw your ball, go out to an on-course practice again, throw your ball in the rough and hit some shots. Again, look at your extended screen, look at your raw carry number, and then compare it to the carry number on the game. Also, putting. Make sure you're watching your launch direction on your putting. So I always practice trying to get my launch direction to 0, so um, that way I can just aim. And if I miss a putt, I know, hey, did I hit my launch direction? Close. You want to be within zero point 0.5 and negative zero point 0.5, I'd say, are pretty good putts typically. If you're doing that, then you know if you misread it or did I hit it offline. Um, a couple other things. So the ball striking typically I feel like is very relatable. If you're a good ball striker outside, you can be a good ball striker inside. You don't have to learn too much about that. The ball is going to go the same distance that it goes outside. Um, one other thing I think is important to know: throw some wedges from the fairway on encore practice and watch the ball spin. So it does spin quite a bit on TrackMan simulators, and you got to understand how medium and hard greens affect how much the ball is going to come back with your wedges. So that's important to know. You do have to take spin off your wedges just like outdoor. Otherwise, your ball is going to come ripping back and it's hard to control. Um, what else? With the wind. So, same thing. Go out, turn the wind on left to right at 8 miles an hour. Look at how much you missed on your extended screen left to right, and then look at how much it moved on the game. So then you can kind of start to figure out at 8 mile an hour wind, and it changes based on your club. So with an 8 iron, I need to aim 7 yards to the left or whatever it is. So just learning all those things and practicing your chipping. So it's hard visually to get used to chipping. And so I have feels at 10 yards carry, 15 yards carry, 20 yards carry, and then bunker shots, same thing: 15-yard carry, 20-yard carry, 30-yard carry. I have different feels for how I make them carry that far, using the length of my backswing and how hard I
Mm.
accelerate through. So hopefully those tips can help people kind of start to learn how to get better. It is just software, but you still have to have the skill to take advantage of the software. So it's not really taking advantage; it's just learning it and learning your distances and where you should aim.
Yeah, and the tip that you gave me last year that really helped was, especially on bunker shots, it's just much easier to hit higher chips, pitches, shots around
Yes,
the greens, easier to control, and you don't have to worry about how it's going to bounce. Is it going to spin too quick? Is it going to land into a slope that I don't know is there? Just getting that field dialed in. So if you have, a 15 or 13-yard shot, if it's hitting it a little higher and flying it farther, usually works out better.
it does. Yeah, I play bunker shots just like I would outside. I open it up and kind of flop it. And, like I said, I kind of have the clock system on different yardages, how hard I need to swing to make them carry that far. And it's very consistent. Yep, you can get very good at them.
Well, Jordan, thank you for your time. You're a generous man. You've been very helpful to me, and I'm sure countless other players looking to indoor golf as their next step. I wish you the very best of luck. I'm sure we'll be tracking your progress and look forward to watching you return to the top of the leaderboard. Good luck to your kiddos, and I hope they score some goals today.
Yeah, me too. All right. Thanks, Mark. Good luck to you. I can't wait to watch you play. I know you're going to do great too.
Thanks, Jordan. Take care, man.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.